Very nice, gentlemen.
You need to stand up, I guess.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the official debate between who really invented calculus, Leibniz or Newton. We have two sides defending today. Each side will get 8 minutes to do their opening remarks, and then they will debate freely, as long as it's in order. I'll flip a coin first. If it's heads, Newton will go first. If it's tails, Leibniz will go first. All right, tails. So Leibniz, you have 8 minutes to make your opening remark.
Fantastic. Do you want to just let us know when you started the timer?
Yes. Begin now.
Good afternoon, panel members, esteemed judges, others. I'm the lawyer of Mr. Gottfried Leibniz, who was born in Germany some time ago. I don't want to go into it, he's sensitive about his age. Today we are going to be talking about the very sensitive matter of who truly invented calculus. Being Mr. Leibniz's lawyer, I am obviously advocating that he discovered it first and that he published it first, which is fact. Let me take you back to 1664. This was the year, allegedly, that Mr. Newton began his work on calculus. About 10 years later, 1675, Mr. Leibniz allegedly started his work on calculus. But then, only 9 years after that, 1684, Leibniz published calculus, the first published work involving calculus. It was not another 50 years until Mr. Newton published his thoughts on the subject. I just want to let that sink in for a moment. He started first, claims to have started first. My client then begins after him and publishes his results before his opponent. And then 50 years later, he publishes his results and claims that it was stolen. Something a little fishy about that to me.
Okay, I'll just introduce myself, give you guys a little background info. I was born in Leipzig, Germany. I got my bachelor's in philosophy at the age of 15 and my master's at the age of 17. I got my doctorate of law at the age of 20. I'm not only a mathematician, I've also made contributions to philosophy, physics, medicine, geology, biology, and technology. I am well versed in law and politics, and I also served as a political advisor to the Duke of Hanover.
Hello, my name is Fabian Lawton, and I am the cross-examiner, but I will also be representing him as partial lawyer. Newton tries to proclaim that he came up with calculus first, and that Leibniz here stole it from him. However, there's no proof or solid evidence saying that Leibniz stole it beyond his word. That's pretty much all I have to say. I'm the cross-examiner, so I have to fight what he has to say.
But you have to understand that Newton's word plays a big part in this argument. The entire argument started out because Mr. Newton accused my client of stealing. That was it. That was all there was to it. There was no concrete evidence to that assertion. He just out of the blue one day said, "You stole my calculus." Now, I'm going to be nice for a second. A very wise person once told me that they believed that there is a point in time, a fixed point in time where something needs to be discovered. And when something is discovered, one person found it at that point in time. It just so happens that at this point in time, two people found calculus at the same time, through completely different methods. Mr. Newton, is it not true that you were investigating calculus as a way to explain your dabbling with physics, a new science that you were working on?
It's true.
This is true. So, calculus was your way of explaining physics?
Yes.
It's very interesting because my client was using calculus, to basically just create a new form of math. Being a man of the world as he is, he had nothing better to do with his vast amounts of genius in his spare time, and just decided to come up with a new form of math. He came about calculus through geometry, not physics. So two scientists coming to the same form of math in two very different ways. I put it to you all that it is possible to have the same idea as somebody else at the same time, founded on very different principles. Seeing as Mr. Leibniz published calculus first and came about it through his own methods, he technically invented calculus first, and he published it first, therefore making my client the true founder of calculus.
Now, I ask you, did you see any of Newton's notes on calculus prior to the publication of your own, Newton? Leibniz? Sorry.
Who sent me one?
Sorry.
Newton did send me several samplings of his work before my own publications. However, these were inconsequential, of little help to my own calculus.
Okay. When did you first discover calculus, and by what methods?
I made my breakthrough in calculus in late 1675. I came about it through the exploration of infinitesimals and integrals. My discoveries were mainly relevant to geometrical mathematics.
Not physics, obviously. Did you receive letters from Newton himself? In which case did he ask you for your input on matters of calculus?
Yes, I did actually. I sent Newton a few letters whose focus were on strictly tangents and curves and other parts of calculus, including my own notation that is still used to this day.
Now these letters and notes, they're dated back to 1676. And in these notes, Newton actually said that there were several methods that Leibniz himself had created, and one of which that Newton has never even seen before. So how can Newton even proclaim that he was the first to come up with it if there's a method that he's never even seen? Nobody knows. It's just his word, no evidence.
Leibniz, would you like to make any closing remarks?
Yes. I'd just like to state that I did not steal my client's work. He proclaimed through the Royal Society of England that I was plagiarizing his work, and many other scholars agree with him. However, the report that proclaimed me to copy his own work was actually written by Newton himself, so obviously there's some bias there. Once again, we came through calculus in completely different ways. I came about it through integrals. He discovered derivatives. And also my notation is still widely used today. Newton's notation, which pertains more to physics, has fallen by the wayside. No one really uses it anymore. So obviously my contribution to math is more significant than Newton's to calculus. So.
Just to sort of summarize what we've been over, Mr. Newton published his results of calculus 50 years after my client. My client came about calculus in a completely individual way. And it is possible for two people to come up with the same idea at the same time, but my client published it first. Therefore, it's his idea first. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Do you mind if we turn the timer towards us?
Yeah, sure. Team Newton, you will have 8 minutes to present your argument. You will begin in 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I, Dr. Steinberg, along with my partner, Mr. Kubinak, represent my client, Mr. Isaac Newton, and intend to prove to you that the defendant in this case, Mr. Leibniz, is in fact a liar, and only came to his conclusions about calculus after Mr. Newton. While we do acknowledge that Mr. Leibniz did discover calculus on his own accord, we have factual evidence that dates his findings after Mr. Newton's, as well as a few accusations that he could have stolen some of our work. We are here today to prove that you, Leibniz, did in fact steal some of our work, and we were first in discovering calculus. Thank you.
Let me tell you a little about myself. You may know me as physics genius. I'm considered by many to be the greatest and most influential scientist who ever lived. You may have heard of universal gravitation, the laws of motion, or the Principia. Ever heard of those? Well, all by me. You say you're accomplished, but all you did was steal my work. Let me tell you this quote this brilliant man said. Sir Isaac Newton, the famous 17th century mathematician and scientist, though not generally known as an alchemist, practiced the art with a passion. I cared about my work, which is why I'm accusing you of this. I'm an honest religious man, and I will not be taken down by the devil.
So, as Ed did, let me take you back to the 1600s, approximately 1665, when the Great Plague just hit London. Cambridge, where my client, Mr. Newton, was working at the time, was closed for 2 years, and he went to Woolsthorpe, which was right outside of London, where he researched until 1667. According to my client, as you will say, you did start discovering calculus at that point, did you not?
That's correct.
Perfect. My good friend, Mr. Leibniz over here, published in 1684. If you were just so eager to publish, then why did you publish in 1684, 20 years after my client started? Did it take you 20 years to find calculus completely? That's the first question I have. The second is their approach. Well, Mr. Leibniz is correct by saying he did start with integration. My friend Mr. Newton over here started with differentiation. Now, Mr. Newton, if you'd be so kind as to open the Larson Calculus Applied Approach as we use in Calculus Honors today. What chapter is this?
Chapter 2.
And what is the title of the chapter?
Differentiation.
You invented that, right?
That's correct.
Perfect. You came about it first.
That's correct.
Great. And what chapter is this?
Chapter 5.
And what is the name of it?
Integration and applications.
So, which came before which?
I would have to say differentiation.
Oh, perfect. Well, it's funny enough that my client and his methods are taught first and primarily before your client and his methods. The next article I'd like to bring about is my very own copy, bathroom reader, of Methods of Fluxions by my client here. So, Mr. Newton, did you not complete that in 1671?
That is correct, I did.
And wonderful. And did you publish it in 1736?
I sure did.
Yes, and as we talked before, his reasoning for this is the fact that in between 1671 and 1763, Principia was published, 1687. He spent time between completion of Methods, Fluxions, and Fluents and publishing of Principia because he thought his calculus was baby food compared to his other discoveries, such as the laws of motion or the laws of gravitation.
So Leibniz initiated a direct exchange of letters with Newton in which he raised the subject of colors. So I'll be passing out a letter from Newton to Leibniz. Oh, actually, no. So just take a couple minutes to read that for yourselves. So take note that this letter was sent on October 24th, 1676. My client, Mr. Newton, believes that Mr. Leibniz used his findings of moving back between integrals and derivatives to find derivatives for his own work, because he had only mastered integrals at that point. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I hope you have seen through ample evidence provided that my client is quite simply a victim of robbery of intellectual property by this crook to my right. Over the past 8 minutes, my colleague and I have put forth sufficient evidence and reasoning to support our claims. We ask not that you condemn him to any sentence or punishment, but just that you finally give my client the title that he has deserved for centuries, the inventor of calculus.